When you're in a confrontation, being a skilled fighter, being big and strong are all great advantages to have. But it doesn't matter if you're the world's best boxer, if you're a bodybuilder, or if you're Muhammad, Imad, Bruce Lee. If you don't understand the basic skills of self-protection, then you're putting yourself at a massive disadvantage before the fight even starts. So me and Raul, we're just normal guys. We're not big, we're not strong, we don't have any exceptional fighting capabilities. So we need every advantage that we can get when we're in a confrontation to make sure that if an attack does happen, the odds are stacked in our favour to be able to defend ourselves. There are really easy mistakes that people make all the time that are completely avoidable, that lead to them becoming another victim of assault. We're going to explain some of those self-protection principles by showing you 3 things that you should never do when you're in a confrontation with someone, and showing you 3 things that you should try instead. Just to be clear, we're talking about a confrontation, not a fight. A confrontation is when somebody approaches you and may be acting hostile or argumentative towards you. You're not quite sure of their intentions at this point, and a fight may or may not take place. Number 1, the first and probably the most important thing not to do when you're in a confrontation with somebody is cross your arms. If you cross your arms, not only are you slowing down your reaction time if I was to throw a punch, but the other reason that people don't think of about crossing their arms is uncross your arms, uncross your arms. By the time Raul uncrosses his arms, where I've trapped him in, I'd probably knocked his teeth out. So the most important thing never to do is cross your arms. So what should you try instead? I personally like to talk while I'm using my hands. It's something that I do naturally anyway. Talking while I'm using my hands and keeping them open shows that I'm remaining passive. It creates a natural space away from the attacker as well. If I'm crossing my arms, there's no gap, all right? Whereas if I'm keeping my hands nice and open, it creates that natural space. Also, by keeping my hands open, moving them around, it gives me a better reaction time. Should Raul throw a punch, I can come straight up and cover, okay? However you want to talk with your hands is up to you. I personally like to keep them moving. It can also distract the attacker as well. So if I need to preemptively strike, I can come straight in. But whether you want to stand like this and talk, whether you want to maybe stand here, and if Raul throws a punch, I can come straight in here. Or if you don't like those things and you feel like you really have to cross your arms, try this instead. So just fold them. Just fold them on top of each other like this. That way, if Raul grabs me, I've still got mobility over my hands, okay? They're not going to be trapped in. I can still get out, start to deal with the grab and start to respond. And when we're talking with our hands as well, it's really important not to touch the attacker, okay? If we touch the attacker, they can trap our hand and use it so we can't defend ourselves and begin to strike us. Or if they practice Aikido, they can put us in some kind of crazy wrist lock or a finger lock, okay? The next thing never to do in a confrontation is stand too close to the attacker. Now, it goes without saying that you're not going to be right up in the opponent's face, right? For obvious reasons. But when people think about keeping a safe distance, a safe conversational distance when they're in a confrontation, they're often thinking about keeping a distance from punches, okay? But what they fail to think about is keeping a distance away from kicks. There's a big difference in distances between where he can punch and where he can kick. So whenever we are thinking about keeping a safe space away from the person we're in a confrontation with, we're not just thinking about punching, okay? We're thinking about keeping away from their kicks as well. And the final thing never to do in a confrontation is stand directly facing the person you're having a confrontation with. If I'm standing directly facing the person, I have to worry about all the different weapons that they could use to attack me. What I should do instead, just stand slightly at an angle. So I want to stand slightly off my opponents or the person I'm having a confrontation with, slightly off their center line, okay? Just at a bit of an angle. Not too much that it's so completely obvious that they'll turn around, but just at a bit of an angle. That way I'm taking some of their weapons offline and I've only got to worry about 1 or 2 of their limbs attacking me. Imagine the person you're having a confrontation with has a gun and they're pointing it straight into your face, okay? You just want to be off that center line, outside of that firing line. Also, standing off the center line gives you a fantastic angle to strike. If you need to preemptively strike and make an escape, if I'm standing straight in front of my opponent, striking into their face, I might be able to stun them for a moment, but I'm probably not going to get the knockout. If I stand to the side, I've got a fantastic striking angle here into the chin to get that wobble, to get the brain to start moving and potentially cause the knockout. Either I can go for the chin or I can go here to the temple under the ear. Or even I can take the knee and run away.
I've been in this situation more times than I wanted to be honest with you. And another thing that I would add and I would recommend is I don't like to be here because if Ryan push me, for instance, I'm very unstable. Okay, I like to be in fighting position but without being naughty, because if I do this, obviously it's a very confrontational thing to do. So what I like to do is like, here I'm already in my orthodox stand to fight. Without being noticed, I'm like, you okay, mate? And then as Ryan said, I'm trying to be away from his distance, and I can be in defense, but it's already a defensive position, a very obvious one. Sometimes what I like to do is something normal, like to be hit. Mate, I'm okay. I have the hand in here. It's like I'm just I'm okay. If Ryan throw a punch, I'm here. If Ryan throws a kick, bam, I'm here. If I want to, if I want to kick myself, bam, I'm there. I'm there, okay? I am there. Another one very normal is, again, I get the distance, and again, I just put my fighting position, and no, mate, no, I do understand, I'm here. And then if Ryan punch, whatever, I'm here. If Ryan kicks, I'm here. If Ryan comes too quick, bam, I'm there. Or I'm here, bam.
Understanding the principles of self-protection are so important. If you understand the principles, you're putting the odds in your favor and keeping yourself safe. Thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. If you did, please like and subscribe for more self-defense content. Thank you.